Kill streaks were introduced in Call of Duty 4. They were a way to reward the good players while also serving as an incentive to improve. If you got better at the game, then you could call in the helicopters, the airstrikes. But since COD 4, the kill streaks have been pretty up and down depending on the game you're playing. In today's video, we're going to do something we've never done before on the channel. It's super rare, I know, but it's here. We're going to have a brand new video topic. That doesn't happen every day here. And today, we're going to rank every single Call of Duty game by their kill streaks. Nothing else. From worst to best. So you let me know in the comments what COD game you think had the best set of kill streaks. Drop a like on this video, and if you guys want us to do this with other topics like ranking every Call of Duty only by their SMGs worst to best, you let me know in the comments. And welcome to the channel, everybody. Jimmy or Chaos, and it's non-AI Jimmy again because, let's be real, AI Jimmy could not bring this energy into the mic like I'm bringing right now. In all seriousness, no, I appreciate you guys. I've been reading every single comment on every single video. I love this community. All right, dead last. The worst kill streaks out of any Call of Duty at number 18, COD Ghosts. There's a lot of reasons to hate Call of Duty Ghosts when it came out. I know. There's a lot of loud criticisms being made about it. And some of the loudest, they were the kill streaks. Put simply, the streaks in the game were really bad. It led to most people just running Specialist Strike Package instead. You had the Assault and the Support Strike Packages, which those were nice, but there really wasn't any good rewards regardless of which package you were running. Everything was either too expensive for its power or too weak to just justify putting it on your class. I mean, who can forget the complete piece of trash it was a SATCOM? Come on. Guess the Juggernauts were a pretty cool part. They were a redeeming quality of the game streak system. But other than the Jugs, let's be real with each other. The Ghost streaks were terrible. Easily the worst streak lineup in COD history. At number 17. I'm going to get hate for this because I find a way to put this game at the bottom of the barrel whenever I can, in the bottom of the dumpster. Vanguard. I admit, I wasn't much of a Vanguard player. So my opinions here are probably out of sync with a lot of the community, but I don't remember most of the streaks from the game because I thought they were pretty lame, even during the short period of time where I was playing. Totally might be my bias against Vanguard, but I don't think there was anything standout. I guess there was the attack dogs, but those were basically just copy-pasted from Black Ops 1 and 2. I guess there was the Flame Knot, which was a cool variant of the Juggernaut, but whenever I see people talking about that thing, the opinions are kind of mixed. The Vanguard streaks were kind of underwhelming, and I think number 17 is a perfectly fair place when you stack it up against every other game in the franchise. At number 16, Advanced Warfare. Now, if you watched my ranking of every COD game out there a few days ago, you were probably shocked at where I ranked Advanced Warfare. But even though I did love the game, I don't think the streaks were good. In fact, I think Advanced Warfare had a very weak lineup of streaks, and that did sometimes get frustrating because you were going to go on this long streak and not have much to show for it with a few UAVs and a care package. Streaks in the game felt weak compared to other COD titles, and in most situations, you kind of felt you were better off just using your exosuit and assault rifle, which led to most people just running UAVs and counter UAVs instead of lethal streaks. I mean, I guess you could say the system hacked was pretty valuable, but other than that, there wasn't much reason to go on streaks in the game when you could just run UAVs and use your exosuit to zip around the map and kill the enemy team the old-fashioned way. So I loved Advanced Warfare. I didn't love the streaks, and I know you'll say, Jimmy, they were customizable. You could juice them. You could, but that was also at a cost. So you have to think about that in the give, take, the push, and pull of it as well. I do remember that giant laser beam that you looked down on the map and you just took a laser beam, and if you upgraded it big time, it was crazy. That thing was pretty crazy, I'll admit. At number 15, Black Ops Cold War. All things considered, Cold War actually had some decent streaks, but the main thing that destroyed this system for me was the way the game handed out your score. Black Ops Cold War score streak was so backwards to me because your score didn't reset upon death, but the streaks, they were all super expensive, and there were cooldowns that activated once you called one in, which meant it was basically impossible to do the classic COD strategy of running cheap streaks and then earning them over and over, letting them wrap. It's a shame. Some of the streaks in the game were pretty cool, the Chopper Gunner, the War Machine, but they were obnoxious to earn because of how backwards the system was, and on top of that, there was also some crappy streaks in there that ruined the flow as well. I mean, I think the game actually had some of the worst streaks in COD history. They were too expensive, and they were too annoying to earn, and even if you did earn them, a lot of times they were underwhelming. At number 14, Infinite Warfare. Now, Infinite Warfare streak system was basically copy-pasted from Black Ops 3. That's not a bad thing because Black Ops 3 had a great system. You'll see later on in this video. But Infinite Warfare also pretty heavily nerfed the streaks from previous games, and it resulted in a largely underwhelming experience where hardly anybody was running anything outside of UAV, counter UAV, and your basic airstrikes. There were some cool high-tier streaks, but they were so expensive for the amount of damage they would actually do, and due to the way that these maps were designed, you weren't going to get much out of them after you put in all the work. I mean, I saw a few gameplays of people grinding for the most expensive streaks in the game, and then getting like 4 kills, which is a huge letdown. Granted, there's some streak customizations in the game that can make things a little more rewarding, like in Advanced Warfare, but ultimately, I don't think anybody actually looks back fondly at any of the Infinite Warfare streaks. It was an underwhelming year, especially after Black Ops 3, which again, had a really good lineup. At number 13, Black Ops 6. Black Ops 6 may have been a frustrating game with all the bad updates and the balancing oversights, but I think it had a decent lineup of score streaks. All the essential Black Ops streaks were here, with a bunch of new ones that were fun. They kept things interesting. Earning streaks was a bit of a pain in the game because of the Omni movement and the sweaty matchmaking. Once you actually got on a streak on the battlefield, I would say it was satisfying. I mean, I'm going to put it at number 13 because even though I think the streaks were okay in this game, there's not a lot of huge standouts. Every COD game will have a few streaks that stick in your mind, make you excited to play the game again so you can go earn it. But Black Ops 6, it didn't really have any of those. Now, it's not to say it was a bad lineup of streaks, but the game probably could have benefited from 1 or 2 more heavy hitters, something that made me really excited to go on a kill streak so I could go watch it, call it in, see the destruction. I don't feel like Black Ops 6 had that, but that's just my opinion. At number 12, COD 4, the original kill streak system in Call of Duty. It's one of the simplest. Only 3 kill streaks in the game. They were all pretty effective. 3 kills, you got a UAV. 5 kills, you got an airstrike. 7 kills, you got an AI-controlled helicopter. Super straightforward, super easy to understand, and all of them were really effective in their own way. The UAV, obviously a great piece of recon for your team. The airstrike, fantastic tool for shutting down objectives and clearing out your choke points. And then the helicopter, come on. That was a nice little eye in the sky, even if it was pretty passive compared to later versions of it. I really liked the 357 system. It was a bit stripped down compared to what would come later. There was something about the simplicity that I really enjoyed. And since there was only 3 streaks in the game, you never had to worry about one of your streaks not being worth the effort. Everything had a specific place in the sandbox, and they all did their jobs well. At number 11, COD World War II. Now, on one hand, COD World War II had some cool streaks. You had the fighter pilot, you had the ball turret gunner, you had the return of the emergency airdrop. On the other hand, it had some really lame streaks. The Molotov cocktail and the post-nerf paratrooper. So I guess there were some memorable ones in the mix, but it was an inconsistent mix. I mean, I do think everything was priced pretty fairly, which I can't say for any of the other COD games. And after the domination score overhaul, streaks seem to be coming into the battlefield at a healthy rate. It's just hard to say if this was an overall good or bad showing of score streaks, because the good ones were really good, but the lame ones, they were really lame. So I'm going to let you guys judge this batch in the comments. At the end of the day, there were some memorable streaks. There was some good setups. So ultimately, I think it was a positive year for it. I mean, room to improve, of course, but now we're at top 10. At number 10, World at War. Now, even though World at War was basically COD 4 streaks with a new coat of paint, I think they were better overall, mainly due to the fact that the helicopter was swapped out for attack dogs. And the attack dogs, they were vicious. Way more effective. For 3 kills, you got your spy plane. It worked like a UAV. For 5 kills, you got an artillery strike that kind of worked like a modified airstrike, and it shook everything. And then for 7, you got the Hounds. Insanely strong. Easily get you 5 to 10 kills in return. It was a simple system that I can totally understand why a lot of newer COD players didn't really like the 357 system, but the 2 games that used them, I think World at War did better. They were simple, effective, and slightly more satisfying than the COD 4 version. At number 9, Modern Warfare 2 2022. Yes, this is one of my least favorite Call of Duty games of all time if you haven't figured it out, but I will admit there was a decent lineup of streaks in the game. There were some annoying ones, the cluster mines and that drone that carried a C4 charge, but then there was also some devastating ones, and the fact that the time to kill was so quick in a game like this, it meant the kill streaks were extra lethal. That could be satisfying. I mean, I wish the game didn't suck so much because there was clearly some good elements to the multiplayer, but when the core gameplay is so flawed and the map design was so bad, it's kind of hard to appreciate the good things in the game. The streaks, mostly good in the game. The game itself sucked. So I don't really think of the streaks highly, if that makes any sense, since we're talking about the Modern Warfare reboots. At number 8, Modern Warfare 3 2023. Now, a lot of the streaks from Modern Warfare 2 were carried over here since the game started its development as Modern Warfare 2 DLC, but I would say they were slightly improved. There was a few other favorites that were thrown in the lineup. Now, granted, a lot of the annoying ones were still here. Cluster mines, IMS, weird hunter-killer copycat thing, but there was also some fun Modern Warfare staples. You had the AC-130, you had the Juggernaut. They even threw in the Swarm from Black Ops 2. That was cool. I mean, I won't say too much about these streaks because most of them were carried over from Modern Warfare 2, but the additions and the tweaks, I think, made it a slightly better experience overall. So here it is at number 8. At number 7, Black Ops 4. Now, the community seems split on whether or not Black Ops 4 had a good lineup of streaks, which I always find kind of odd because I thought the streaks were really good, perhaps even a little too good in the case of some of them. Everything was made slightly more expensive since assists were now worth a full 100 points, but all the Black Ops staples were here plus a few new ones. The Mantis drone, personal favorite of mine. There was also that sniper's nest, which was probably too good for how easy it was to earn. In addition, you had the strike team, which was pretty fun if you were able to get your hands on it. The gunship, which was like an AC-130 that nobody knew how to shoot down because the rocket launchers were rare. I mean, I'm honestly not sure why so many people seem to think Black Ops 4 had a weak lineup of streaks. Maybe they were annoyed at how many times they got killed by the sniper's nest. Maybe they were just stomped by the strike team too many times and they're showing it. I don't know. I thought it was a solid showing. At number 6, Black Ops 3. Black Ops 3 had an absolutely epic lineup of Scorestreaks. You had the classics returning from Black Ops 2. You had the UAV, the Lightning Strike, the Hellstorm, the RC car, which was now a little hover car. And then you had some new additions to the mix that fit perfectly with the setting of Black Ops 3. One of my favorites, the Raps. That's one of the most terrifying things to go up against in COD history. When you saw that coming in and the drop shits dropped him, you were in pain. You had the Wraith. That was an awesome replacement for the stealth chopper. Provided your overwatch as you ran around the battlefield. You had the GI unit, which was your own personal Terminator who would do laps around the objectives and wipe anybody out he saw. You had the Cerberus, which is my favorite Wally-style drone in COD history. Everything was priced fairly and rewarding to call in, and I never got bored grinding this multiplayer because, well, one of the many reasons why it's one of the best games, the epic streak selection. It was the cherry on an already awesome Call of Duty cake. Now we arrive at the top 5. Modern Warfare 3 2011. Classic Modern Warfare 3 was the first time that we got a taste of multiple strike packages. I still think it was the best implementation of the concept. You had the Assault package, which was the traditional kill streak system. You had the Support package, where kills didn't reset upon death and everything was more expensive, less lethal, except for the Stealth Bomber. Then you had the iconic Specialist package. Kills would give you an additional perk so you could eventually have every perk of the game and turn yourself into a super soldier, Captain America on the battlefield. Basically, every method of playing the game was viable. All the streaks were fun to use. There was a few bad ones. The Remote Sentry, it was definitely cheap to have the Stealth Bomber and the Support package, but at the end of the day, there was an absolute overload of customization for your streaks, which we had never seen before in COD history. I still think it's one of the best streak options we've ever had in a single COD multiplayer experience. Everything was fun to use. Every strike package had its own pros and cons, and it gave the multiplayer so much variety. Definitely top 5. At number 4. It's very rare for me to put Modern Warfare 2019 on a positive list on the channel, and as much as I dislike the game, I can admit it. It had a solid lineup of streaks. I don't understand why they butchered the counter UAV the way they did, and the white phosphorus was annoying depending on the game mode, but you were basically getting everything else in the game, which was good. Chopper Gunner, amazing. Gunship was a new version of the AC-130. Precision Airstrike, nice update to the classic budget streak. Sentry Gun, super unrated because of the health boost. I could go on and on. No, I didn't like the game. But if you watch my ranking of all the COD games, you probably know this is one of my least favorite games in the franchise. But I like to be honest and true with myself on these videos, and I do think Modern Warfare 2019 had one of the best kill streak lineups in the entire series. There were 2 or 3 bad ones that nobody used, but aside from those, it was good. And number 3, Black Ops. Now, Black Ops had a couple pointless streaks. You had the Valkyrie missiles, which were hard to control, but it also had a bunch of iconic ones. Chopper Gunner, the revamped attack dogs. Plus, this was the first game to make power weapons into a kill streak. So if you got lucky with a care package, you could be granted an insane bonus weapon, the Grim Reaper or the Death Machine. It would really make you like Terminator on the battlefield. Black Ops did a really good job of taking the revamped kill streak system introduced in Modern Warfare 2 and translating it into the Cold War era. Now, the directional airstrike, that was the Napalm. The Stealth Bomber, Rolling Thunder. Modern Warfare 2 Chopper Gunner reworked into an even more satisfying version that you got to watch your character slide the door back and spray hot lead on the enemy team over and over again. You would rack up 10 to 15 kills in a matter of seconds. Black Ops, the dogs, don't forget that. Yeah, we revamped the attack dogs, right? I mean, Black Ops 1 had an amazing lineup of streaks. They were fairly priced, they were extremely powerful, and this ranking might partially be influenced by nostalgia, but I love this game, and the streaks were a big part of that. At number 2, Black Ops 2. I did a video not too long ago about the worst kill streak in every single Call of Duty, and I left Black Ops 2's entry blank because I truly do not think there was a bad streak in the game. Everything was priced fairly. There's pros and cons to every single streak in Black Ops 2. This was the first COD game to use a proper score streak system. I think Treyarch implemented it perfectly. Gave you a partial score for assist, finally giving you solid rewards for capturing objectives, and providing recon with UAVs. Now, kills from streaks, They also counted towards your next streak, but at a discounted rate, which was a fair way to keep things feeling rewarding without totally breaking the balance of the streak progression. Like I said a minute ago, every single streak in Black Ops 2 was helpful in one way or another. But aside from being helpful, there was some all-time greats. The Swarm, the Hunter Killer, which is my favorite budget streak in COD history, the AGR, the War Machine, which debuted in this game, the Warthog. I could go on and on. Black Ops 2 was a top-tier showing of Scorestreaks, and it's only passed by one other game in the franchise. And if you know anything about Call of Duty and streaks, you probably know exactly which game is getting the top spot. And if you're still here on the video, there's only one left. At number 1, Modern Warfare 2, 2009. Had to be. As soon as you saw the title of the video, if you know me and you know this channel and you know Call of Duty history, you knew classic Modern Warfare 2 had to be at the top. OG Modern Warfare 2 had some of the most devastating kill streaks in COD history, as well as some of the most iconic, and they were not that hard to earn, which meant they were very prominent as a part of the experience of the game. I mean, come on. The Harriers, the AC-130, the Chopper Gunner, the Predator Missile, the Nuke, the Emergency Airdrop, the EMP. Was there any bad streaks in the game? Like I said, they weren't hard to earn in this game. The iconic Harrier, 7 kills. Chopper Gunner, 11. And the kills that you got from your streaks would stack towards your next one. Modern Warfare 2 had the absolute best lineup of streaks in COD history. I don't think there's any debate that can actually happen here. Maybe there is. You guys will let me know in the comments. So yeah, there you go. A brand new, fresh idea for a video. So do we expand upon this sub-series? Do we rank every Call of Duty by their SMGs, by their ARs, by their lethals, by their maps? We could do this in all kinds of different ways if this is a topic or a sub-series you guys would like to see expanded upon on the channel. I hope you do. I'll read every comment like I said I do. I'll see you soon.